What is up, awesome peeps? Brent McCluskey here with Electrified Reviews, and today we are reviewing the Surface604 Boar electric bike. This thing has the biggest fat tires of any electric bike we have ever seen, 4.5 inches. They're huge. This is a cool bike, but first, let's roll the B-roll. All right, awesome peeps. So again, this is the Surface604 Boar electric bike. This is the fourth electric bike we have tested from this company. And honestly, just straight up, like, I am more impressed with this company with each review of these bikes. They are honestly just such a good value for what is being offered. They are incredibly fun to ride, really high quality. A lot of cool stuff to go over here. First and foremost, let's talk about the price, because this is not a cheap bike. This thing starts for $2,499 USD. $24.99 USD. Pretty expensive, definitely outside of that affordable price range, but again, there is a lot of value on this bike. First and foremost, this thing does come in a couple of different frame sizes, which is nice. Small and medium and large, so it does allow kind of riders of different heights and sizes to be able to find the right frame for them, like find the one that's gonna fit, so very cool. Not very often do you find that. Most of the times it comes in one frame size, so it's very cool that Surface604 does offer various frame sizes. Right now there is only one color for this bike, and it's gonna be this camouflage color. It's a very nice pattern here. Very sweet looking camo. Really, really dig this. Yeah, it's just a really nice camo pattern here. The warranty on this is going to be a 7-day return policy. So if you get it, you just don't like it for whatever reason, doesn't work for you, 7 days, no questions asked, you can take it back. But they also do have a 1-year comprehensive warranty for this bike, which is also very nice, because again, if something does go wrong, you want that warranty to be able to cover you. 3 months, 6 months, it's just not enough. 1 year is really the minimum. So it's nice to see that Surface604 is kind of checking that box off. Some other cool stuff about this company is these frames are custom designed and engineered in Canada. So this is not just a frame that's picked up, overseas. This is actually something that was designed from the ground up for this function of, I mean, really, this is like a extreme, not like, it's an off-road bike, but this is not like a downhill mountain bike. This is really a backwoods bike, going through soggy terrain, going through mud, going through snow, accessing those hard to reach places that really you couldn't get to without this bike in particular, because this does have 26-inch by 4.5-inch wide fat tires, which are just, they're huge. These are the biggest fat tires we have ever seen on an electric bike. They're they're overkill. They're so big. What's cool about these tires though is they do offer a lot of suspension quality, because there's so much air volume in these tires. So it kind of softens the ride a little bit. It's still bouncy if you're going over the road. If you're going over big bumps, you're going to feel it on this bike because there's no suspension, but the tires there, they do kind of, they smooth it out a little bit. So let's dive into the specs here on the Surface604 Boar. We'll start here with the motor in the back. This is going to be a Bafang 500-watt hub motor with 80 newton meters of torque, 500 watts of nominal power, about 750 watts, maybe a little bit higher of peak power. That brings this bike up to a top speed of 20 miles per hour out of the box with the pedal assist or the throttle. However, if you have the unlock code for this, you can crank the speed up to about 31 miles per hour, maybe a little bit faster. On flat ground, I weigh 180 pounds and my bag weighs about 30 pounds. On flat ground, I was able to get this bike up to 28 miles per hour with the throttle only, no problem. With a little bit of pedal assist, I got up to 30 miles per hour, no problem. This thing, this is like a motor that's designed for fat tires, so the torque is pretty good. And the controller that they're using for this motor is really good. It's geared towards these big fat tires, because one of the things about these fat tires, one of the cons about them is, yeah, they've got that big wide surface area, they got that big wide tire patch to kind of float over soggy terrain, but these things cause a lot of drag, man. There's just a lot of contact with the ground. So fat tire bikes have a tendency to feel laggy, to feel kind of like just slow, because there's so much surface area there that's touching the ground with the bikes. But this motor kind of compensates for that, and it does not feel that laggy at all. Again, I mean, being able to reach 28 miles per hour on flat ground is honestly pretty impressive. Now again, you can reach that with a throttle, which is going to be over here on the left hand side. And I actually really do appreciate now the throttles on the left hand side. Kind of makes more sense because you got the right hand side where the trigger shifters are, left hand side is the throttle. Just kind of keeps things clean and not too cluttered. Or you can reach that top speed with the torque sensor. Awesome peeps. Yes, the torque sensor, that's right. Surface604 bikes, they have torque sensors, which are just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. You rarely see torque sensors on bikes at this price point. Normally you only see them on bikes, well, maybe you start to see them on bikes about 2,500 bucks. It's not that uncommon, but normally if you see a torque sensor on a bike around this price point, that's kind of like the main selling feature. There's not really a whole lot extra going on. With Surface604, they do offer quite a bit more than just a torque sensor. Now, the reason we like torque sensors so much is because torque sensors measures the torque that's being placed on the cranks. So however much pressure I put on the pedals here is how much power I'm going to get out of the motor. So it corresponds to how hard I'm pedaling, which really makes it feel like the bike is working with you as opposed to for you. Also, the shutoff and startup speed is just like basically instant. So there's almost no lag or delay from the time that I start and stop pedaling to the time that the motor actually activates and deactivates, which again really makes this just feel like a really seamless ride. And that's going to be the same thing with all torque sensors, and that's really why we like them so much. So just they're really good pieces of gear. In the back here, we've got a SRAM X5 derailleur. Normally, when we get to the derailleurs, you know, I don't think they make that big of a difference for hub motors, for electric bikes. Kind of one of the biggest benefits you get from a higher end derailleur is going to be a little bit of weight savings and a little bit better shifting. Now, the SRAM X5 though is actually pretty high up there on the list for quality. It's quite a few bumps up above the entry level, and you really can feel a difference on this particular derailleur. And so I would say that this derailleur does matter, and it does make a difference. This is going to be a 9-speed, and it's paired with the SRAM X5 trigger shifters, which are very snappy. You've got a really good feeling when you depress them. They're just like the range you have to move them before they click is really short, so it feels really tight and responsive. They're really nice trigger shifters. Some of the nicest ones we've tested so far. I really like the SRAM X5 setup here. Really good stuff. The battery on this bike is going to be a 48 volt system. Stock battery is going to be 10.4 amp hours on this. However, you can upgrade to the 14 amp hour version, which is we have right here. It's going to be a locking and removable battery. You can see it's right on the down tube there. If you have the key, you can unlock it right here. Here's the key port, and it just comes off pretty easily, pretty standard stuff. That's nice that it is removable, because that means I can charge this thing separately from the bike if I want to, which is nice because look, this bike is big, man. It's not particularly that heavy. It's only about 60 pounds or so, 62 pounds, which is actually really impressive for how big this is and how, you know, with the racks and stuff on there and the big fat tires. But it's, you know, it'd be nice to be able to store this in the garage, whatever, and then be able to take that battery and charge it somewhere separately, keep it stored in a nice, dry, cool location to extend the cells. Also, what I like about these batteries is two main things. Number one, as silly as it sounds, like I love that it has USB type A port here. It just means I can charge accessories while I'm riding this from the battery, or I can use this as like a portable battery bank if I want to take this thing off, bring it to a coffee shop, charge it my phone or something with the battery. Really cool stuff. It also does have a little quick check indicator right here for the battery. Just push that. You probably can't see it on the camera. It's not very bright, but it's just kind of a way to quickly check how much juice is left. Now, another cool thing about this battery, or just the Surface 604 design here, they've been really smart with their component setups and their battery, because this one battery, we've tested it. We have used this same exact battery on each of the reviews for the Surface 604 bikes. So they are cross-compatible with each different bike that's offered by Surface 604, which is awesome, because let's say I wanted to grab two different bikes, like this one for going deep into the backwoods, and maybe I wanted to grab the Shred for more like downhill stuff, because that's more of like a mountain bike. And we did review the Shred a while back. I'll go ahead and leave a link here at the top if you want to check out that review for more of a mountain bike style version of the Surface 604 bikes. But look, if I want to get both those bikes but save some money, I can grab one battery, because I'm only going to be riding one at a time, and that same battery can be used for both bikes. So really, really cool stuff. I dig that a lot. These baskets here, the front basket and the rear rack, this comes stock with the bike. This is not an upgrade, this actually comes with it, which is really nice. It comes with that base price of $2,499. This front rack does attach directly to the forks here. You can see it attaches there, and it attaches on this side as well. That's nice because it makes it really, really sturdy. This thing is not going anywhere. You can load quite a bit of weight on this. The max load capacity, by the way, peeps, for this bike is gonna be about 285 pounds, which honestly, I think Surface 604 is being really modest and kind of conservative with that estimate of the max load capacity. I mean, this bike is really, really strong. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could probably put a lot more weight on this thing if you wanted to, but I don't know. They're probably saying 285 just to protect themselves in case something does go wrong with more than that. But this, I feel like this could really easily hold a lot more than 285 pounds. Now, the only downside about this front basket here is because it is attached to the forks, the basket itself is going to turn whenever I turn my handlebars in that front wheel. So the basket's gonna kind of dip from side to side when I turn. So stuff can spill out of that front basket if it's not tied down. So just kind of keep that in mind. It also means I'm gonna feel the extra weight that's in that basket because this is attached to the forks there. So is that a bad thing? It's just, I mean, that's just kind of that's just what happens when you attach it to the forks there as opposed to the frame itself. Now, something else that Surface 604 did, which is very, very smart, is they put the light on the front of the basket here so it does not get obstructed by whatever's in the basket. So very smart. So I can put stuff in the front basket there. It's not going to obscure my front headlight right there. Good stuff. Braking power on this is pretty good. We've got hydraulic disc brakes, Tektro Auriga hydraulic disc brakes, front and rear, 180 millimeter rotors. There's the rear one right there. And this does offer quite a bit of stopping power. Hydraulic brakes are fantastic. And you really want to see this on a bike that goes this fast. I mean, this thing can pretty easily hit 30 miles per hour if you're just pedaling just a little bit. So hydraulic disc brakes, man, like mechanical just would not cut it for this. So very cool to see that this is another upgrade point that Surface 604 has done. So good stuff with that. Now, because these are hydraulic disc brakes, I am able to adjust the resting position of the brake levers themselves. So if I wanted to bring the brake levers in here, it's like, so the natural resting position is like this, or if I wanted to let them out, if I have bigger or smaller hands, I can adjust that because these are hydraulic. Also, these brake levers have motor inhibitors built in. So whenever I depress the brake levers, it's going to instantly shut off power to the motor, ensuring I have the shortest possible stopping distance. Not really a huge deal here for this bike because it's a torque sensor, so there's not that start and stop delay like we've talked about before, but still a nice safety feature, and just cool that they added that. Now, wire management here is pretty good. I mean, as you guys probably know by now, I like it when the wires are kind of completely wrapped, but Surface 604 does a pretty good job of just using minimal kind of straps here to keep the wires pretty clean. And you can see they do feed into the down tube here. Goes all the way down and it spits out at the bottom bracket right there. So wire management is pretty good, on point. Oh, something else I wanted to talk about with this battery, by the way, I forgot to mention it. All the batteries from Surface 604 have Samsung cells, which that's one of those things where you may not know what cells are being used, because the companies, they don't always list that, but the Samsung cells are superior cells to just about everything else. So that's going to, first and foremost, it's going to make them safer batteries. It's going to, kind of reduce the risk of just malfunction, risk of, overheating, fire, stuff like that. And they're also going to last longer. I don't know how much longer, but they will last longer than the average battery. So again, just a nice little upgrade point that, normally you may not even know that, but they, even though you can't see the name brand, they did throw Samsung cells in there. So yeah, good stuff, Surface604. I feel like, these guys are trying to take care of the customer here. Yeah, I don't know. Look, we try to be as objective as possible, peeps, with these reviews, but every once in a while we come across a company or a particular bike that's just really, really superior, or just offers just a lot of value. And I think that Surface604 is one of those companies where it's kind of hard not to gush about them, honestly, because even though these are not cheap bikes, just the value overall is really, really good. I mean, what do you guys think? Is this overpriced in your opinion? Do you think it's not worth the money? Do you think this is like a good value buy for what it offers? I'm always curious to hear your guys' thoughts, so please feel free to weigh in the comments, and I love chatting with you guys there, so just let me know. One thing about this bike, which is kind of interesting, is they don't have any sort of chain ring guard on here. So if you do get a strike, because this is like a backwoods bike, right? You're going to be hopping over logs. You're going to be going over a lot of obstacles, I think. So there's nothing to protect this front chain ring. So if you do get a strike, these teeth here are susceptible to getting damaged, and that could cause a derailment of the chain. So maybe you might want to add like a chain guard aftermarket, or I guess it just depends on how you ride, but something to keep in mind there with that. Oh yeah, we got to talk about this. So yeah, the 4.5-inch tires, huge. We've kind of talked about these already. They're great tires, and look, the biggest thing about them is it's really meant for, I mean, not even, this is like really wet ground right here because it's been raining a bunch, but this is really geared towards just that soggy, deep water, mud, stuff that like regular tires wouldn't be able to get through. Something else that adds to the extreme durability of this bike is it does have a through axle on here. So that really, really adds a lot of strength to this front tire or the front wheel assembly. Yeah, that's not something you always see, and we've only actually seen through axles a couple of times in our reviews. Normally through axles are reserved for like extreme downhill bikes, but it makes sense to have it on this because it's got that relatively high load capacity of 285 pounds, but realistically you're going to be adding a lot of extra weight in that front basket, so you want that through axle to add the extra strength and durability to this front wheel here. What else can we talk about with this frame? Man, I love I really like the pattern here on the camo. Check this out. I mean, look at this. Yeah, it's a really clean pattern here. Now, unfortunately, again, I mean, there is only one color here, so if camo is not your thing, if you wanted black or like some other color white, like you're not gonna get it. But I mean, it makes sense because again, camo, right? This is like a bike for the woods, so it would make sense that they would want camo for this. I personally like it. Again, I mean, is this a cool color? Like, you tell me, right? This in the back is not actually a light, it's just a reflector. I thought it was a light at first. Nope, it's not, just a little reflector. Rear rack right here, same thing, it does attach to the frame. There's just like bosses all over this bike. You can see it attaches right there. It attaches up there, and the same thing on the other side. And again, just like the front basket there, this is going to add to the just kind of durability and structural integrity to this rear rack here, because it's just not going to go anywhere. This thing is not coming undone. If you are worried about these bolts coming undone, you can add a little bit of Loctite on there, just make sure that they are stuck and not coming out, no matter what. So yeah. All right, let me show you the display on this. So we've got a independent button pad here on the left, plus minus lights, info, power button, and again that throttle here on the right hand side. Turn it on, it's going to be a long press of the power button. Boom, you can see it comes to life right there. And at the top, again, Surface604, I love that they have this on all of their bikes, a percentage indicator for the battery. So you know exactly how much juice is left. So you know you've got 72% or 45%. Instead of a bar indicator with like 4 or 5 bars with a 25 or 20% increments, it's not a very good, not really accurate to know how much juice is left, but percentage indicator, definitely 2 thumbs up there. In the middle here, we have the pedal assist mode. It goes from 0 up to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the left-hand side, we got the tripometer. Right-hand side, the odometer. If I hit the info button, you'll see it switches to max speed, average speed. Let me actually go back. Max speed so far is 33.7 miles per hour. So yeah, this thing does haul, man. This is a fast bike. Average speed, time, and then back to odometer. And that's it. That's the Surface 604 Boar right here. Awesome, peeps. So, look, I think the next thing to do is to take this for a test ride and show you this bike in action. So, here we go. All right, awesome peeps, that is pretty much it for the review of the Surface 604 Boar electric bike. In summary, again, this thing starts for $2,499, $2,499 USD. This bike is definitely going to be geared towards hunters, towards backpackers, towards anybody who wants to go deep into the woods and go through terrain that just otherwise would not be accessible without this particular bike. Again, these 4.5-inch wide fat tires are the biggest fat tires we've ever seen on an electric bike. They're literally ginormous, and that surface area is going to allow this thing to seriously get to pretty much almost any place you could possibly imagine. Any terrain that you want to cross, this thing is going to be able to do it. Anything that's extra rocky, anything that's extra sandy, mud, snow, sand, that kind of stuff, it's really going to excel. It's going to really work well in mud especially. Some cool stuff about this bike, besides the fat tires, it does have that 500 watt, 80 Newton meter torque Bafang hub motor, the 14 amp hour upgradable battery for that range of 45 miles. So it's really gonna help you get kind of deep into the woods if that's what you're looking for. It does come with that front basket and the rear rack, so you can tow stuff. You can attach a trailer if you want to. You can stow a bunch of stuff in that front basket and the rear rack, so it really increases the functionality of this bike. Overall, this is just, I mean, $24.99, it's not cheap. It's an expensive bike, guys, but honestly, it just offers so much value. Surface604 does a really good job of picking and choosing which components to upgrade. The torque sensor, I mean, it's a thing of beauty. Overall, it's really just a fantastic ride, and it's still a really good value at that price point. So I hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas Eve. Happy Merry Christmas tomorrow. Happy early New Year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic holiday season, having an awesome day, and I will catch you next time. Peace.